layman's terms, if you follow these tips, it will increase your chances of success in your investing strategy. Layman's terms? Guys, today share ako sa inyo ng checklist or things to consider bago kayo mag-invest. Kung nangangapa ka pa sa pag-invest, this video will provide you with concrete steps on how to start your journey. This episode will also be full of finance jargon, so you could take it as a crash course for investing terms. If you follow these tips, it will increase the likelihood of success in your investing strategy. These tips do not necessarily apply to stock market lang, pero investing in general. Because again, ang goal natin for this channel is to create a proper mindset in handling our personal finances. So, without further ado, let's start! The first step is to make sure that you pay off your credit card loans. Make sure na bayaran nyo in full every month yung credit card bills nyo. Pwede rin naman bayaran yung minimum lang every month, pero personally, I don't see the point in delaying that. Bakit pinapatagal pa natin yung utang? Mamaya makalimutan mo pa yan, tapos pag-check mo ng bill mo, may patong na palang 25% interest kasi hindi mo nabayaran on time. So mas stress ka pa and mas madadagdagan yung babayaran mo. Second item on the list is to make sure na completed na yung emergency fund mo. By definition, emergencies are just unforeseen events na hindi natin nakokontrol. And more often than not, kung may emergencies, meron tayong babayaran like hospital bills and car repair kung hindi covered ng insurance yung kotse mo. So speaking of cars, an emergency fund is like an airbag in the steering wheel. Pag nabangka yung kotse mo, the airbag will provide cushion and support para hindi tumama yung katawan mo sa windshield or dun sa steering wheel. So ano nga ba yung mga hindi emergency? Basically, ito yung mga expenses na kaya nating i-foresee and kaya nating pagplanuhan and kaya ilagay sa budget. Ang mga hindi emergency ay mga needs like food, bills, savings, tulong or contribution sa pamilya, and mga insurance premiums for life and non-life insurance. Hindi rin emergency yung mga wants or luho kasi dapat nagbabudget tayo para dyan. Ito yung mga gadgets, games, sports equipment, lottery tickets, fashion, sapatos, luxury items, upgrades sa kotse. Walang masama bumili ng luho from time to time, basta make sure na may budget ka talaga dyan and hindi impulsive yung decision mo sa pagbili. There are two criteria when choosing where to put your emergency fund. First is dapat liquid siya or madaling i-withdraw pag kailangan mo na. And second is low risk or safe siya from market fluctuations. Ang most common option for emergency fund is to put it in a traditional bank or iwan mo lang sa payroll account mo. Another option is to make use of money market funds. Ito yung mga mutual funds na may 1 to 2% gains per annum. Relatively liquid pa rin naman yung money market funds kasi wala silang lock-in period. So ang pwede mong gawin is 50% put in traditional bank and then the other 50% lagay mo sa money market fund. Yung next item natin is optional, which is buffer funds. Ito yung mga funds para sa mga taong gusto ng extra peace of mind or extra protection in case ma-deplete yung emergency funds nila. Yung perfect example kung kailan nagiging useful ang buffer funds ay itong pandemic. Especially para dun sa mga tao na wala ng work, baka yung emergency funds nila ay na-deplete na or malapit na maubos. Kaya dito makikikin sana yung mga buffer funds if nakapag-prepare sila ng maayos. Same criteria lang sa pagpili kung saan ma-store yung buffer fund. Dapat liquid and dapat low risk. Pero again guys, optional lang to and you don't need to follow this. Basta make sure na may emergency fund kayo bago kayo mag-start ng buffer fund. So yung fourth item to consider bago tayo mag-invest ay like button. Ha? Ipasmash mo yung like button. Wait lang, nagbe-video pa ako. Smash. Guys, pasmash daw yung like button. Yan. Sige na. So again guys, yung fourth item to consider before you start your investing journey ay to make sure na you understand your risk appetite. So in layman's terms, ito lang naman yung comfort zone or how much peace of mind you're willing to trade for potentially bigger returns. So in general, may three categories yung risk appetite. Risk averse or low risk, aggressive or high risk, or the one in between, medium or moderate risk. So in this picture, makikita natin yung risk versus the return or the rewards of different asset classes. So yung pinakamababang risk and pinakamababang return din is government bonds kasi they are guaranteed by the government but they have very little returns. And then as you go up the graph, increasing the risk also increases your potential returns. And makikita mo na yung stock market ay may highest risk pero siya din yung may highest potential returns. Some people know right off the bat yung risk appetite nila, but for most of us, kailangan natin ng experience para malaman how much risk we can tolerate. So para sa mga beginners, I recommend taking online assessments para may rough idea kayo kung what type of risk you can tolerate. After nyo matake yung exam, it's also important to note na hindi permanent or fixed yung risk tolerance mo. Hindi porket aggressive ang risk tolerance ko, aggressive assets lang yung bibilhin ko. Investing should also depend on what goal you're trying to achieve. And most of the time, marami tayong goals in parallel or sabay-sabay. Which brings me to my next point. The fifth item to consider before investing is identifying your investment horizon. Investment horizon is how long you're willing to set aside your capital. Pwedeng short term na less than a year, short to medium term which is 1 to 3 years, medium term naman is 3 to 5, and anything above 5 years is consider ko as long term. So going back to the parallel goals, let's take for example si Allen na 25 years old. One of his goals is to save for retirement, which in the Philippine context is typically at 60 to 65 years old, or at least 30 years away pa. Knowing that, Allen can invest in higher risk assets kasi hindi naman niya kailangan yung pera in the short term or even in the medium term. Now, gusto rin ni Allen mag-save for a car, and he wants to buy the car in 3 to 4 years, which is short to medium term horizon. Knowing this, hindi recommended for him to invest in high risk assets like the stock market. Pero matigas ang ulo ni Allen at nag-invest pa rin siya sa favorite asset niya, stocks. Pagdating ng third year, gusto na niyang bilhin yung kotse pero unfortunately, nag-drop massively yung stock market. Ang options niya ngayon ay 1. To take out the money and settle for a more affordable car, or 2. Postpone niya muna yung pagbili, which is a little discouraging. He practiced delayed gratification by saving and investing, pero ang mistake niya is not matching the investment vehicle with his investment horizon. So dalawa yung lesson na makukuha natin sa mistake ni Allen. First, make sure to create realistic expectations. And second, make sure na yung investment vehicle mo ay match sa investment horizon. So guys, if nagustuhan niyo yung video, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell kasi I release a video every Sunday about trading, personal finance, and proper investing mindset. See you next week!